Clark Kent returned to Smallville, expecting the calm and familiarity of his childhood home. The streets were quiet, the air still, but something felt off. When he reached the farm, he noticed the barn. The building that had once stored hay and tools that had echoed with laughter and life now seemed wrong. Martha, his mother, was standing outside, wringing her hands nervously. Her eyes met his, and she shook her head, silently begging him not to open the doors. Clark ignored her pleas, but as he stepped toward the barn, he heard it. The pounding inside. It was rhythmic, deliberate, and it sounded nothing like a human heartbeat. Clark broke the lock, and Jonathan, his father, stumbled out. But he was not the man Clark had known. His eyes were pools of black, veins darkened unnaturally, glowing faintly with a sinister light. The infection of the anti-life equation had overtaken him. Clark tried to reason with him, to reach any part of the man he loved, but Jonathan lunged with claws and rage, uncontrolled and violent. The fight that followed was brutal, but it was not just physical. Clark had the power to end it quickly, but every punch, every block weighed on him. Clark tried to hold back, to find a way to stop his father without hurting him, but the infection was relentless. At last, with tears in his eyes and pain in his chest, he struck a blow strong enough to end Jonathan's life. His father collapsed, and the silence that followed was deafening. Clark had survived, but the cost was a deep emptiness, a wound far heavier than any physical injury. There was no time to grieve. The infection spread across the world like wildfire, leaving destruction and chaos in its wake. In Metropolis, Lois Lane had transformed the Daily Planet into a sanctuary for survivors. People clung to her and to the hope that Superman would protect them. That hope was tested when Giganta appeared, infected and uncontrollable. Her immense size allowed her to crush buildings easily, each step sending debris tumbling through the streets. Civilians ran for cover, terrified and desperate. The Batwing tried to stop her, its weapons firing, but explosions only scattered burning debris, failing to halt her assault. Superman arrived, striking with immense force. He engaged Giganta with all his strength, trying to subdue her without causing unnecessary deaths. Dinah Lance, now bearing the power of a Green Lantern ring, bound Giganta in chains of green light, restraining her movements. Diana charged forward with sword in hand, ready to finish the fight if needed. Clark's voice rang out, demanding restraint, insisting on mercy even in the shadow of the apocalypse. Then Cyborg intervened. His cannon fired with precision, striking Giganta in the head. She fell, her attack ended, and the city was spared further destruction. The victory, however, left a bitter taste. Clark stood among the ruins of Metropolis, breathing heavily. The memory of his father's death and the weight of Cyborg's action pressed heavily on him. He could not undo the loss or the choices made, but he resolved to continue protecting the living. Clark Kent, despite grief and exhaustion, remained committed to being a hero in a world that had already lost too much.